This is the Karoo, a 400,000 square kilometre semi-desert engulfing a third of South Africa's landmass. It's an extreme environment with drastic climatic conditions and a harsh terrain where water has always been a scarce commodity and life has had to adapt accordingly. But it's not just a semi-desert. This place's history stretches way back beyond the origins of prehistoric man, from our great ancestors who endured the trials and tribulations of a wild Africa at a time when everything had bigger teeth and claws than us, to its more recent inhabitants, when, less than 350 years ago, European settlers laid their roots in the region and paved the way for a new breed of pioneer, the Karoo farmer. Many of these families and communities in the Karoo built their livelihoods on sheep farming, a trade which established the Karoo as an agricultural heartland of South Africa, but only up until very recently. Today, scattered throughout the Karoo are scenes of the apocalypse come early, relics and treasures now forgotten and abandoned. So the question must beg, why bother to even come here? Well, 3 years ago I met up with a farmer, JP, who gave me a glimpse into a part of the Karoo that I'd never seen before. You can imagine on a hot day, whole family sitting out here, catering, maybe a loaf of bread baking inside. You know?
No, you can. I mean, it used to be that way. Unfortunately, not anymore.
I mean, what happened?
Well, it just wasn't viable anymore to stay here.
Is this happening all across the Karoo?
Oh, most definitely, yeah. It's extremely sad, man.
Jeez, in another 50 years, JP, there won't even be evidence of this anymore.
This won't be here, man.
Be gone. Ek het gif in my gespuit. Moenie worry nie, ek gaan maar dood in die dorp. Ek kon nie anders nie.
Bye, almal.
Bye, almal. This is that hectic, eh? I've injected poison into myself. Don't worry, I'm going to die in the town. Ek kon nie anders nie. I couldn't do other. I had no choice. That about sums it up. Sure, JP. It was those few heartbreaking words scribbled on a wall that sparked what would become a 2-year journey across the length and breadth of the Karoo. And after some 15,000 kilometers and God knows how many punctures, I know that to bring this space to life, I need to take you right back to the beginning. And when I say the beginning in the Karoo, we're talking millions upon millions of years, right back to the day when there were pre-dinosaurs wandering around on this earth.
I don't care too much for money. I don't care for fancy things. Silver and gold, they will weigh down your soul. I'm a pauper who walks like a king. I care about good conversation. I care if the sky is blue. I care about my mama, but mostly I care about you.
The Earth has been around for 4.5 billion years. To give you some understanding of how long that is, if we make the whole history of the Earth just 24 hours, human beings arrive in just the last moments before midnight. But the rocks of the Karoo, of what you see spread out beneath me, are known by geologists as part of the Karoo supergroup. And they were formed roughly between 300 and 180 million years ago. That's about an hour and a half before we came along when you look at our 24-hour geological clock. a time when southern Africa was still part of a supercontinent called Gondwanaland, and where I'm sitting right now was in the polar regions and covered in ice. Then, about 15 minutes later, or 250 million years ago, the supercontinent saw a mass extinction that wiped out 96% of all pre-dinosaur species that were roaming in this primordial world and locked their remains in a time capsule that would last for millions of years. But I'm getting ahead of myself. As the supercontinent moved away from the pole and the climate started to heat up, giant rivers flowed from a chain of fold mountains in the south towards the Central Sea, depositing massive amounts of sediment and rock. But the Karoo story doesn't end there. Gondwanaland finally breaks up into the familiar continents that we know as Africa, India, Australia, South America, Antarctica, and the island Madagascar. And the downfaulting of the mountains towards this encroaching sea reverses the drainage. And from north, suddenly it starts draining outwards to both the west and the southeast coast of South Africa. And this spectacular landscape that you see around me right now is the result of all that wind and water erosion, taking sediment away from the Karoo down towards the coast and revealing the first part of our journey, the wealth of fossil material that's been exposed by all this erosion. So, from the Valley of Desolation in the Kamdaboo National Park, we're now making our way to New Bethesda to get down to the bones of the Karoo. I'm starting my journey in the Eastern Cape region of the Great Karoo, and it's a place that seems to be a hotspot for clues about the Karoo's history. It's one of the warmer parts of the Karoo with temperatures that can hit the mid-30s to 40s, and already we can feel the heat. But in order to catch a snapshot of what this place was like from a time that's long gone, we're heading towards this guest farm called Genora to hook up with Hester and JP Steinberg to take a journey of a lifetime through this fossil treasure trove starting 240 million years ago. Hi, Hester. I'm good. I'm Justin Bonello. Nice to meet you. Excuse us all in our cameras and all the rest. Louis. Louis is our stills photographer. Sean's our assistant. Josh, our sound guy. And that's Darren and Sunil. You know, Hester, I actually read about you and JP online, and apparently you have a renowned fossil collection all from this farm. Hi, JP. Justin Bonello. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for seeing us on such short notice.
Pleasure.
But I have to ask, and not beat around the bush, can we see your collection?
Oh. 3 old people in here this morning.
Yeah.
They were sitting on the porch.
This is a treasure trove.
I bought this farm 16 years ago, and yeah, always interest as a little boy. On the farm where I grew up, there were hardly any. And the day we moved here, I realized what's going on here.
Well, JP, I knew that the Karoo had a rich fossil history, but this is something else. You know, when you think of the process it took to make this fossil, from the animal dying, being covered in sediment, that sediment being compacted into rock, and the organic material replaced by minerals over the course of some 250 million years before being excavated for us to be holding it in our hands, it does your head in a bit, eh? That fish is unbelievable.
Now, this specific species is the only complete one of its kind in the world. There's your large remaining part of the skull,
Yeah.
the neck, front leg, the spine with the rib bones,
Yeah.
the pelvis, hind leg, the foot and toes. A fossil is not always big. In here, a complete skull of a fully grown animal.
Why do you think where your farm is, it's so fossil rich?
A natural disaster, in this case possibly a mudslide.
Yeah.
Everything in that floodplain was covered. Now it's been eroded open. It's been exposed.
Well, JP, if I could see this floodplain, it would be really amazing, because these fossils tell a history of the Karoo that dates back to a time when it was still covered in water. And these are actually pre-dinosaurs, right?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people think that all fossils are dinosaur fossils, but they in fact are only Dinosaurs are only 65 million years old, and these fossils are more than 250 million years old. Everyone thinks T-Rex, but you know, those are the juniors when it comes to the fossil world. And these are Stone Age and Bushman artifacts, aren't they?
Here in the Karoo is your ancestor of your modern day mammal. It's adapt or die. If you've not been able to adapt to changing conditions, you're going to die out. And that's for the Karoo farmer as well. As things change in farming, if you're not been able to adapt, you're going to not make it. It's going to be the end of you.
Sure. I never thought I'd hear of a comparison between the pre-dinosaurs and a modern-day Karoo farmer, but you're absolutely right. We've only been on the farm Genora for half an hour, and really we've taken a trip back millions of years ago. But I can see JP's like one of those guys that has the fossil addiction. You know, he's like, we've barely been here, and he's like, all right, let me take you to the veld.
So a shaving brush has more than one use.
Yeah, JP. So this is the tool that you use to uncover all these fossils. And that's great, but you know, I don't even know what I'm looking for out here, so you're gonna have to help me in amongst all these dead bones and things. No ways, and so she's revealed.
It's a thing your eye gets into it, and you recognize it very quick. And next to your tooth, what you got there is a lower jaw.
Okay.
The inner row, so we hope the rest is still embedded.
Tucked in that
Tucked
way.
in, yeah.
But isn't there a part of you that just wants to take it out now?
Yeah, in a way. You know?
Yeah.
But also nice to show people what it looks like inside.
Wait, yeah. You treat these fossils like your kids, man.
Calling them my baby.
Did they name the fish after you?
No, that was already nice.
So one day are we going to find a Steinberg?
Yeah, you never know. Maybe.
It's just after 6 o'clock in the morning, and the farm Genora is coming alive as workers arrive for work. You know, farming in the Karoo is hard already. So if all you're doing is sheep and goats, your margins are so tight that to make a living is really hard. But where Genora comes right is that it offers the added value between the fossils and the Bushman paintings. You know, you can come here and have an experience that takes you back 240 million years, or you can have an experience that takes you back a couple of hundred years. So from ancient pre-dinosaur extinction to a more recent extinction, Hester has offered to show us the only remains of our great ancestors, the indigenous first people of southern Africa, and indeed the ancestors of modern man, the Bushmen, who were masters of southern Africa for thousands of years and had an incredibly harmonious connection to the animals and the land.
Now, I don't know how much you know about the Bushmen, but you know they were very spiritual people. And they believed in the next life. So when they went into these trances, they believed their soul went to a next life. And whatever they experienced there, they had to come and tell the people, the tribe. And that's why some of the drawings are not like we know animals. They're sometimes half of one, half of another. And this is a very good example. Can you see the back legs?
Yeah.
Front legs. It's an eland body because of the dewlap.
Yeah.
Okay, but can you see the head is not an eland?
No.
It's like a snake or
Yeah.
a reptile. So it's two animals in one. But not all drawings are spiritual drawings. Remember, some of them are real things that happen, like a newspaper.
Sure.
And then we have little people here.
Well, it looks
The
like he's
head.
got a spear of
Yes,
some
in his
very...
upper arm.
Yeah.
Warning people coming in from the west or the south or the north, don't go to the east because these people are coming from the east. Big, tall people with dangerous weapons. And it just makes sense to me, the theory.
No, sure, but I guess it's just theories and different meanings and interpretations. But the truth is, it's so sad and frustrating that so much of this ancient knowledge is gone, as are all the Bushmen. And all we have left of them are their paintings. What are those glass pieces on display there?
The glass pieces in that could be from the last bushman or koi and the first farmers trading. They
Sure.
give a hide, get a pot, you know, that kind of thing. You can see
Yeah,
the
well,
skulls
you
of it.
become a detective of some sort, a sleuth, you know, hey?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what actually happened here. For a people that were lords of Africa,
Yes.
southern Africa, to have them so marginalized now, and as much as we've been here for 5, 6 generations, we think we belong, but the first people were here way before us. But the thing that gets to me the most is the oneness that they had with the land,
Yes.
that we don't really have.
Yeah, we don't appreciate it. We don't respect the land as much as they do.
Hester, thank you for that.
Okay, thanks for coming with me.
Oh, anytime. If you got more, you can drag me along in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Hester says to me her sons used to camp in one of the caves in the ravine, the kloof down the way here. And she said, yeah, in December, a father and a son stayed there, and my automatic response was, well, can we stay there? So we're just getting ready to make it easy. We're not really geared for hiking and camping in the mountains, but we're going to give it a bash in any case.
What can we not take along?
Photo, this pen.
Gee, he still, look at all the clean clothes he had. I have 2 pairs of pants. Bit of a prima donna cameraman, do you know what I mean? Josh's bag, we all refuse to carry it because it's like this.
When you do that, I just feel like you say, free. Eh? Rechtig. JP, thank you very much. Eh? What JP said is, look out for something that looks like bird dropping. So you see sort of whites popping up here and here and here. And this is something special. So I think that's spectacular. And I walk 20 meters further down and I find what I think looks like a jaw. This, in my mind, looks like a lower jaw, a skull, and a top jaw, and that could very well make JP's day. And his instructions to me were today, he said to me, Justin, if you find something in the veld or whatever, just take a rock and a piece of toilet paper. And mark the site for me. And I think the probable explanation for this, of suddenly all of these coming up, was that JP had a massive sort of 100-year flood a year and a bit ago. And shale being brittle like this, you know, just keeps falling down and then exposing these fragments here. And last, but very definitely not least, is this very beautiful bone fragment that's sticking out here. Bone there, can't tell what it is at this point. Maybe this is a new find and they name it after me, you know? Shall we carry on? And I guess I know what Bear Grylls' cameraman feels like. Here we are carrying 10 kilograms of gear up a 45-degree incline in the midday heat. And it's probably not the best idea.
Murderous.
I just have to catch my breath. How is this? Here you can feel really special. I mean, perennial source of water, nice safe place to sleep. Out here, there's no sign of like a siren or a plane flying overhead or nothing. And I can't kind of explain what it's like to be sitting here in this cave as the Bushmen would have done hundreds of years ago. I have no words of my own, so I must steal from the South African artist Walter Battis, who wrote, "There is no ugliness, but only beauty in what remains of their frail existence. Nature was not destroyed, injured, or warped by their proximity. As casual as the wind and the water, they lived in undisturbed serenity while the ages came and went.
Now they have all gone, and only their art remains. I can't say that I had the best night's sleep that I've ever had. In Afrikaans, there's a saying called klipart, which means rock hard. Kind of things that we were sleeping on last night. But still, when you wake up, it gives you a newfound respect for the indigenous people that slept in caves like this. But I suppose they didn't know any better. Remember, they would have used dry grass to lie on, make pillows out of, and etc. How do you feel, Josh?
Pretty stiff, eh?
But at least we have coffee on the go. How lucky are we that we got to spend a night here, eh? Probably something that only a handful of people on the planet ever get to do. But I must admit, this morning's hike has given me a fierce appetite. But the first thing I want to do is brush my teeth. Open sesame. And I tell you what, that fierce appetite needs to be dealt with now, and the jaffle is my go-to breakfast on the road. Spread throughout the Karoo, there are places where you will still find fossils and etchings and Bushman paintings and even dinosaur footprints. But before we stop at Spreefontein in the northern Karoo for our next date, we're going to stop at a place called El Yolo and do a little bit of rock art hunting ourselves. And the caves we're about to go into are littered throughout this entire mountain range. You find evidence of the Bushman and the Khoisan and the Khoi all the way through these mountains. And here we go on a hike to the cave. The directions to the Bushman cave were follow the road till it stops and then follow the bush path. It all looks like bush path. Besides having to scramble up rock faces, around rock faces, I think we are about to reach the cave. I have absolutely no idea what this represents. Could be rain, maybe. But you can see the strokes coming down, whites coming out of there, and then there's, I don't know, figures. It's very confusing. Never seen anything like it. This is something where I think expert opinion is needed. And over here, it's a woman with the most luxurious bum you've ever seen. This woman puts J-Lo to shame, 100%. To spend an afternoon hiking and exploring the caves up here is something that I recommend everyone should do. I mean, beyond the fact that you feel a little bit like an explorer discovering a part of history that you never knew existed, you're actually sitting in a space which was once inhabited by Africa's and indeed humanity's ancestors. Often you'll see, like on a wall, you'll see a handprint, which I've always thought of as their signature going, "This is me, I was here." But this is strange, never seen that. All these little dots, and then there's more here. Incredible. Sean, our young camera assistant, took a walk across to that fold on that side. I'd like to think of it as the elephant eye. But he says there's a beehive in the eye. What? Do you hear that? Paintings, stuff, we going there.
Well, I can promise you one thing, the elevation from there to here is higher, and that's one mean hill, but please don't agitate the bees. There's a hive sitting right there of wild African bees. These are killer bees. If they get you, you can die. A swarm of them gets you, consider yourself written off. But from what I can see of the rock art right here, it is something quite spectacular. On the other side, I mentioned a handprint, something to the effect of I was here. Well, there's one. It's a tiny hand. And the Bushman's signature tells an interesting story about their stature. They were no taller than 5 feet, and it's quite amazing because from a genetic point of view, the Bushmen have been proven to be modern man's great ancestors, and there is more of them in us than us in them. If you look over here, there's a whole family in ochre paint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Oh my God. You have to look this way. The head, the body, the bum, the legs. That's quite incredible. That's what we have left. It's all we have left of the Bushmen. Really sad, eh? But this is what we get to remember the Bushmen by. Kind of get that eerie sense that through these paintings you kind of feel like you're with the Bushmen. And when you start thinking that they had a range that literally spread across the whole of southern Africa, let alone the Karoo, the great sadness is that they were literally hunted to extinction all over southern Africa. And in the Karoo, they fought fierce battles, trying to keep this. They didn't have a sense of ownership. They didn't own water holes, didn't own land, didn't own the animals. Came into conflict with the Khoisan, the Khoikhoi, the European settler. They looked at the sheep, the cattle as free for all, for everyone, considering that that's what the Khoi and the Europeans were doing to the animals that were in the veldt. And this cave kind of makes me think of a last refuge. You can imagine retreating deeper into the mountains, less inaccessible to men on horseback, sitting here with your bow and arrow, trying to protect your family from these strangers coming into your land. And there's terrible accounts of how commandos would build shields of reed and advance towards the Bushmen like that with their guns between it. Arrows couldn't penetrate a reed shield, but bullets could pass clean through. Today we carry on with our journey back in time, and I couldn't come here without going to a legendary site in Sproeifontein where we're hoping to see dinosaur footprints. And what's quite unique about this site is that it's got both 3-toed and 5-toed dinosaur prints in the same place. And that's not supposed to exist. Well, we've just driven up from the Little Karoo through Meyringspoort up into the Great Karoo, and you can feel the change instantaneously. It's like 12:30 in the day, and already the thermometer's just climbing. It's about 38 degrees Celsius, not a cloud in the sky. All the vegetation looks like thirsty. And here we go into the thick of it. Hi, Henny.
Dat is ik, ja.
Hallo, aangename kennis.
Aangenaam.
Justin Bonello.
Wie?
Justin Bonello.
Justin.
Yeah.
Aangename kennis, Justin.
Hello.
That's my wife, Zelda.
Hello, Zelda. Nice to meet you.
How much time do you have?
You know, I was in parts of me where it was like we got to rush, and parts of me like, well, we've got time.
If you want to explore the Karoo,
Yeah.
you have to have time.
Yeah.
Because you have to make time.
Yeah.
because it's the small things, eh?
Yeah.
That's
Make a difference.
Yeah.
And the Karoo is something so special. You just can't expect to meet the people that you do. I mean, I don't know Henny from a bar of soap, but we come here to see some dinosaur footprints. Now we're staying the night. He's offered us cool drink. I mean, ice in the Karoo, cold water. You know, it's amazing. Especially when you consider that tomorrow Henny's offered to take the day off to show us some dinosaur footprints. I mean, you've got to love the Karoo and its people.
Daar is 3.
Goed so.
En die ander 2 gents kan hy kan slaap.
Dit sal baie goed wees, dankie.
Dis waar. Hy is so warm maar.
Net so. But the thing is, you know what you're looking for, Henny. Me, I'm just looking and I'm thinking, hang on, what's he seeing here that I'm not? But I mean, you must have become quite an expert from just walking through the veld and finding all these things. For example, what's this?
This piece you hold in your hand is some time ago.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, there's other stuff inside the rock, eh?
It just looks like another rock. How would you know that inside that, is a fossil? It's almost ludicrous how much there is in this space.
What is it?
Ik weet niet.
Klip.
Henny, come on, man. What about those pre-dinosaur footprints?
How many times I walk this road or this way, helping my dad gathering the sheep, eh?
Never saw it.
Never. That afternoon, yeah, around about 4 o'clock. Stop the vehicle and I see what's going on here.
What's been walking in my veld? It's unreal.
There's 5 tracks of animals here. So the prediction could be, this was the female with the youngster walking between mom and dad.
Yeah.
This way is a layer of prints walking this way. 2 youngsters.
3 adults. A family group.
Yeah. So again, it's barely unthinkable to be here and think about bring you back.
Well, it brings the dinosaur world to life, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine that when these footprints were made, the Karoo was not as we see it now. It was this vast inland sea with lakes, and here we sit with evidence.
You're not allowed to put some of the prints in your pockets, eh?
Now I'm going to try it. Bye, Zelda. Bye, Annie. Well, that was on the farm Spreefontein, a little window into the world of the Karoo farmer and the ones that want to stay in the space and empathize with the Karoo. But not only that, we got a window into this ancient land. But for now, we're heading back home to Cape Town, and we're going to return in a couple of months for our next leg of this journey, and probably will experience the Karoo in winter. It's been a couple of months, and we're now returning to the Karoo and making our way up to Springbok Oog near Carnarvon. But we've got a couple of new additions to the Karoo, and we're off to see this critically acclaimed rock art site. But of course, it can't be a road trip without a few bumps on the way. So the Karoo claims its first tire victim.
Lefty Lucy, righty tighty.
Thanks for the help out there, guys. Why am I the one that's like on the ground on my hands and knees here?
You always take over. Even if one of us tries to do it, you just steamroll right in there.
I tell you what, once I've taken the tie off, you can take over, buddy. You know what I mean? Once you can get yourself all dirty and you can just wipe it on your jean pants. Lefty, Lucy, righty, tighty, okay? Ready to go. Cheers.
Bye.
The conundrum of if a gate says forbidden access but doesn't have a lock on it, do you go through it? So we can either go back and at that farmhouse turn left and see where that goes.
There's a gun and a very angry dog on the picture. I wouldn't.
No, I saw that as well.
Go there, I don't think.
We had a couple of hiccups along the road and a couple of wrong turns, but we finally arrived at Springbok Oog, albeit a few hours late. Hi, Rino. Yes, thank you very much. Hi, I'm Justin.
Hallo.
Aangename kennis.
Maar welkom op hierdie mooi plaas. Dit is nie meer my plaas nie, maar ek boer nog hier so. Ek geniet dit nog.
Baie dankie, Rino.
I sold this farm 3 years ago, and but the contract I can farm until May 2050. So that's why I'm still here, still going strong.
Dis fantasties.
Ja. Die eienaar se seun bly nou saam met my hierso.
Ja.
Ek slaap met 'n jong man.
Ja.
Maar hy boer die plaas langs aan.
Okay.
Maar hy bly hierso dan ry elke dag na sy kant toe.
Well, thank you for having us, huh?
Yeah. Are you going tomorrow morning to the main site?
If we could, would
Yeah.
you come with us?
I'll show you where it is,
Yeah?
and then I'm off on my way for my work.
Okay. Listen, Louis, your tent is somewhere down there, hey? You know, the snorers are down there.
Guilty as charged.
Okay, julle moet dit geniet.
Baie dankie onsself. On the road, especially in the Karoo, there's not a supermarket on every corner and things. So you end up eating very basic food. Spaghetti bolognese, bean salads, stuff that you can keep in tins. When you're traveling on the road, you just want food in the belly. And I think someone should open the bar.
That's what I'm doing.
Aye, you are so on the money. You know, Sanel, after all the traveling that we've done over the years, I think we've become quite a well-oiled machine. Ray's on veggies, you're on the bar, and that dodgy sound guy, Zaire, is busy ruining my fire. And on that note, Zaire, if dinner's terrible because of that fire, you made it. If it's great, you know, I made it. Actually, oh God, I can't see anything. Well, it's just before 7 o'clock in the morning and we're following Rena through to the site of the rock art. But let me just tell you, it is the coldest morning we've experienced in the Karoo so far. Sub-zero, frost on the tents, our water got frozen, our milk got frozen, everything got frozen, including us. But I'm sure it is all going to be worthwhile when we see this rock art, fingers crossed.
See, with the little pebbles, and then you can roam on your own.
Okay.
But I just want to show you a few that I think you will miss.
You know, you're always nervous. Everyone says to you they've got amazing rock art sites. And when we were coming here, I was saying, I've been told it's one of the best rock art sites in the Karoo, and it's the truth. Yeah. Hey?
Yeah. So a guy from America, he said, oh, this is a Sun's art gallery.
Yes, it is. An elephant. I mean, an elephant. You feel like you're the first person to ever see them.
Dit is iets wat ek verskriklik geniet. Dan weet ek, wow, niemand het dit nog gesien.
Ja.
Mark.
I think it's going to be lots of those moments where we're all going like, "Me, look, check what I found." But that's the beauty of being out here, being that first person to potentially, in over 100, 200 years, to have seen that rock engraving. So here goes. So this is an elephant, it's a trunk. His tail goes out there. It's in perfect proportion as well. You can even see the scope of the belly. So was this an animal that they saw on their journeys? Because there's no elephant left in the Karoo right now. Or was the elephant once here? I don't know what these are, circles or squares with things in them connected through. I quite like this one. It looks like a cheetah butt with a little buck in its mouth. Cheetah also aren't in the area anymore, so here again we have a recording of something that maybe was but is no longer. There is something that looks like a camel here, but why is a camel there? And this animal, the eland, was almost spiritual to the Bushmen. In its dewlap it had lots of fat, and if you've ever eaten lots of game animals, they're not really fatty animals, but fat was like the bee's knees. So this animal was almost spiritual. But over there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 renditions of animals on just this one rock. And now we're getting to the strange, weird, and freaky. What on God's good earth is that animal? What is this animal?
It's like a llama.
Hey?
Llama with a fat head.
Or what is this animal that looks almost like a saber-toothed lion? And why is there a bushman in front of it with 4 or 5 spears in front? And why are there more over here? And what is this animal with 2 eyes on top of its head? And what are these animals? And this detailing on this is absolutely incredible. It's kind of reminiscent of an anteater with a snout of sorts. But what are these teeth? They're all pointing outwards. It just carries on. I mean, every rock. I've never been to a site in my life before that is as prolific as this. But you know, it makes sense that they chose this spot because Springbok Oog, or Springbok Eye, was once a spring, the eye of the spring. So they would have had reliable water year-round and these 360-degree panoramic views of any approaching danger. And that's the same reason why the Voortrekkers also chose the spot in the 1800s. On another hill close by is their rock art, which is interesting, you know. 2 hills with 2 different types of rock art, separated only by time and culture. This and what we saw on the other sides are both attempts at saying, I was here.
Let me enter this new year with light and prayer, I think, roughly translated.
Met lichten en gebeden.
Yeah.
This is easy to translate. But when it's in Old Dutch, Afrikaans, and barely legible, it becomes really difficult. Because, I mean, like the one over here looks like a love letter to me. It's like I imagine that the girl is telling me about the love of her life, and I can't understand it.
Maybe he's saying his heart is in heaven or something. Because he's got tears in his eyes.
Sure.
Then love has to go away forever.
Quite hardcore, that. Listen, I don't think we realize how harsh this land was for those first people that came here. No water, no food. Geez, a common cold could kill you, you know. This leg of the journey has made me realize that I've only really begun to just scratch the surface of the ancient history that's concealed in this space. But it's quite amazing because in our short time here, we've traveled back some 250 million years to the pre-dinosaurs that once roamed this land, through the origins of modern man, to the early Bushmen, and then even to the Voortrekkers, the forefathers of the modern-day Karoo farmer. I guess, though, that all of us were exactly the same, though. We just wanted something really nice to eat at the end of the day. And you, my friends, are going to be getting something nice and hot from me. So, sort of the basic curry mix
The global one has coriander, fenugreek seeds, turmeric, chili, and cumin. And that you would normally roast off, bang in a mortar and pestle and crush up into a fine paste. You will always roast them also because that helps to release the oils. This one already just has those lovely curry flavors. And to this now, we're gonna just seal off our lamb in there. And then we're gonna add our stock with a bit of tomato paste. I wish I could say we had everything that we would like to make a curry, but sometimes when you're on the road in the middle of nowhere, you make do. And our rice is not cooked. Ray, how much water did you put in here? No, I know that, but what we need to do is now bring this to the boil, put some more water in here.
Camping. I would never have done it like that if you hadn't said so. And I just took your word as gospel because I've never done it before. I'll never listen to you again.
Everyone, take as much rice as you can handle and lather it with my very nice lamb curry.
That is very good.
I think I've just had the second coldest night of my life. But I also had these like really weird dreams about the Bushmen. As you know, this is already a sad tale because for all intents and purposes, the Bushmen are fully extinct. I mean, there's a scattering of true Bushmen left in the Kalahari, but they're remnants of the people that they used to be, these masters of Southern Africa. And then my mind started getting into pre-dinosaur extinctions and dinosaur extinctions. I mean, there in this time capsule embedded in stone is evidence of life that once was. And in some strange sense, the paintings are exactly that too. They're evidence of life that once was. And even on the way up to New Bethesda, when I stopped off at the Karoo National Parks and the Camden National Parks, which both give you this snapshot of what life used to be like in the Karoo before we fenced and hunted everything to extinction. I mean, you know, there's been this whole line of extinctions in the Karoo documented in some form or another. And whether it's fossils in stone or paintings on a wall saying that I was here, or scribbles from a voortrekker on a koppie. All of these people were once here, and all of them at some stage have been under threat of disappearing. And I think that's really the next part of my journey, is getting in touch with current occupants of the Karoo. The only people that are left here are farmers, and sadly they also are on the brink of extinction.